What if he says, "Well, I quit listening to the podcast after we visited in Santa Fe"?
Yeah. I realized who was behind it.
I think sometimes if people meet us,
yeah,
they're like, well, they're just regular Indian dudes.
Yeah, I get a little embarrassed. Like, really? You listen? No, I don't. I don't think I act any different than I do on these conversations. No.
I feel like the way we talk is the way we've always talked.
Yeah.
Since I can remember, I mean, obviously we're a little smarter.
Are we though?
Well, I would like to think so. When I was 18.
Oh,
yeah. You met me when I was 18 or 19.
Oh, yeah, we are. Yeah. I can vouch that. Yeah. Got a little bit more experience, more scars. Humbled in many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. The list goes on. More debt. Yeah, more debt. More responsibility.
Yeah, student loan debt's gonna kick in now.
Oh yeah, when is that happening? Anyway, yeah, it's iconic when I hear some of these old tunes. Just brings me right back to heading to the powwow. Everybody kind of crammed in a car. You got a loaf of bread, and inside that loaf of bread is the bologna that's going to be used to make the sandwich. It's all stuffed in one, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And there was no water bottles. There was no water bottles. You took an old milk jug, you rinsed the heck out of it, and you filled that with water. Everybody drank out of it.
And do you remember sometimes they didn't rinse it out quite good? So like it kind of had like a thing to it.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember one time, that reminds me of this time, kind of a similar story. You know, when you go to school, you usually pour enough to be on a hot lunch program, right? You probably remember that hot lunch program. You probably didn't even know there was a program. You just know that you got fed when you went to school.
Yeah. So my thing is, I didn't learn about like paid lunch or half. There was even half.
Yeah.
I think I was well into high school.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, but you know, when I was a kid, I had seen all these well-to-do kids bringing lunch in a lunchbox. And I thought, I want a lunchbox. You know, I kind of got a little jealous. And I don't remember, I must have been pretty young. So I went home and I told my mom, I said, "Hey, Mom, I want a lunchbox." And she's like, what? No, don't they feed you lunch and whatever? Yeah, but I just want to try it out. So you know where we went to get a lunchbox? You go to the secondhand store. You don't get you don't get a nice new lunchbox from Kmart or Kmart, would be No, you don't get a nice lunchbox. You go to the grocery store, or not grocery store. You go to the secondhand store and you buy, an old uncle lunchbox. It's kind of ugly and beat up.
The in ones.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get that lunchbox. We didn't go to town just for that, but get the lunchbox and we get home and I'm getting ready. I'm like, I'm pretty excited about this lunch I get to take to school. And I said, "Well, Mom, I don't have a container for my drink or anything." All the other kids got a little cup, with the screw top that they can drink. She says, "Okay, well, let's see what we can do." So she digs around in the cupboard and pulls out an old peanut butter jar. Starts to rinse the peanut butter jar out. Not wash it, rinse it out. Give it a good rinse, You don't use a rag, you just use your hand and you do the best you can. She rinses that peanut butter jar out and fills it with water. Not juice, not Tang or Kool-Aid, water. So I go to school with my poor man, like a construction worker's lunchbox. There's no action figures on it. There's some paint on it, maybe from somebody's drywall job or something.
Mud, some drywall mud.
Yeah, some drywall mud. And I open up my box and eat the sandwich and take a drink of my water. Tastes like straight peanut butter water. It's nasty. That's a core memory, man. Peanut butter and me from that time. Not too fond of peanut butter alone. I can eat peanut butter with things, but not alone. Needless to say,
it's depressing.
That's a depressing story. Needless to say, I never wanted to bring a lunchbox to school. I was pretty proud of my free lunches after that.
I didn't mind the free lunches back then, but also I don't know if I knew any better.
I know, yeah.
Thinking of it right now, like, I do remember them putting pickles in bowls in the middle of the tables. So like we'd go to the lunch tables, and sit and eat, and the pickles would be in bowls in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
And looking back now, like kids used to just run there, like 100 kids like reaching in there, like grabbing pickles and stuff.
Picking their nose and scratching in places, and then dipping the finger.
Yeah.
That's pretty gross, man. That's disgusting.
All right. We ready?
What's up, partner?
Bonjour. How y'all doing?
All right. Yeah, doing good. We're talking about student debt.
Oh, nice. Luckily, I don't have too much of that. So.
Oh, man, you're lucky.
Wasn't too good of a student, so no.
Didn't get a chance to collect any debt. Yeah,
right. No, I only went to tribes, and so nice. My tribe took care of majority of that, and so
nice.
That's what happens when you just go play basketball somewhere, and that's
it. Yeah, I got pretty smart. Thought I was gonna. Oh, I'm gonna get a small loan, and get a TV, maybe some new furniture, not very educational for educational purposes. I'll pay it off right. I can pay it off right away. It won't take long. 20 years later.
Yeah. They used to kind of sell you on the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans.
Oh yeah.
So then in your mind, you're like, I'll take the one that gives you more money.
Yeah. Oh,
then you're broke. Then you deal with it the rest of your life.
Yeah. Where's that furniture at? Nowhere.
They seem fake. They seem like fake loans.
I know. Yeah, I never knew I really had to pay them back.
Yeah. Wait, you actually want that money back?
Yeah. Wait a minute. I don't think it really said that in that thing I signed. Yeah. I'd like to look back at that.
Wait, I thought this was like a grant.
Yeah. He said it was a grant. There were those though. You remember that? At least back in my day, there was one or two that was like a grant.
Yeah,
those are nice.
Pell
I don't
Grant?
know. Yeah.
Pell Grant?
Well, Pell Grant was one of them, but there was another one, sort of like a loan. I can't remember what it was called. It was
presidential grant or presidential loan or whatever it was called.
Something like that. I don't know. It's pretty nice.
No, man.
Pretty nice.
No, man.
I don't know.
I'm done eating.
You done eating? Jeez. Okay, what are you eating now?
Well, these were watermelon candies.
Mountain Dew.
What Mountain Dew and watermelon candy?
Oh man. You can have to.
That looks like a college meal right there.
I know. What are you trying to do?
I know how to party.
Reminiscing.
And I got Hawaiian rolls.
Oh, you're gonna be doing a diabetes walk soon, man.
I was never made aware of diabetes.
Oh no, there was plenty of chances.
I didn't attend
plenty of chances to be aware.
Yeah, diabetes awareness walk. Yeah.
Any frisbee that you got in your house says something about diabetes. Okay. All right. Focus. All right.
If it isn't Gather Nations frisbee, it's a diabetes frisbee.
Yeah, diabetes awareness.
Diabetes awareness bumper sticker.
Diabetes awareness walk 5K walk.
No, it's not even 3K.
3K.
Bike race and fun walk. Yeah, man.
And
it's a bumper sticker and it's on your dresser.
Yeah, man. Okay.
Cool. All right, man. I'm glad you could join us. We've been trying to get it together for a little while. You know how things go. It's kind of tough to schedule.
Well,
Aaron's
I didn't know about it.
You didn't know about it. It's behind the scenes stuff, man.
Yeah,
it's a need to know.
But I didn't know, I didn't know at all. He told me, he mentioned he talked to you at Phoenix or no,
Santa Fe.
And then like said we should put him on the he should be on. I think he wants to be on the podcast. Or let's put him on the podcast.
Yeah,
that was like a year. That was like a year ago, man.
Almost a year.
Yeah, August.
Yeah,
I've been waiting for, probably about every 2 nights for getting ready to go to bed, just kind of waiting for the text or
we're on.
No, I guess not.
If Shandin calls, answer my phone.
Set a special ring just for his name. So
it's the our theme song that I actually never even heard our theme song until August. I never listened to our podcast ever, not one time until this year.
And we need those stats, man. We need you to listen.
I know, my bad. But I don't know if you know, but we met one time, quite a long time ago. But we actually probably met maybe a couple of times because I knew Merv. Me and Merv been buddies for a long time.
Yeah.
And then what was it? Probably like Powwow like 20 years ago or something. It's the first time. Maybe.
It was probably at Fuddruckers after the Powwow. No,
well, I think one was at a park. We were in a park in Missoula for a birthday party or something, and you guys were there, like Quana, Mervert. I guess we can't say that on here, huh?
Well, you already did.
Yeah. I've never stopped. But anyway,
everybody knows his nickname.
Yeah. So welcome to the podcast, and thanks for listening to us. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, no, my actually my wife kind of got me into it. We travel a lot, and kind of listening to different stuff. I guess we kind of started off podcast with like Sasquatch Chronicles and stuff like that, and then kind of just started hearing like hey, there's these native podcasts, these Indians on there, and so we kind of just started checking them all out, and then she kind of got me onto you guys, and just been listening and checking it out, cracking up. Nice. When I'm supposed to be sleeping while she's driving, I'm supposed to be sleeping and just laughing away. But I always enjoy listening to you guys, and I kind of like the way the conversation flows. So I was telling Shandin that it was like, man, it was just cool to hear. Especially when it comes to powwows and singing and just stuff that you don't typically hear all the time people talk about. So it's always a blast hearing you guys and different stuff we got going on, and hearing even the offshoot stories. That's I think that's kind of how I talk anyways. Ever see that picture? It's a meme, and it says how a normal person tells a story. There's a start, middle, end, and then how I tell a story, and it's like semi-related offshoot story, and then all these different things, and apologizing, and then rushing my story. Yeah. That's me. That's how I tell stories. So I like it. I'm for it.
It's cool, man. Like we don't often. I don't. I think Shandin hears it more, but I don't get to hear like when people listen to the podcast, and I mean once in a while, like there's been some pretty unique experiences. I've never thought I'd experience that where somebody's like, "Hey, are you so and so from Tribal Research?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's crazy, man." So it's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Shoot, Shandin, you want to say something? I can see.
Well,
I can feel it.
I mean, I got a plan. I got a plan. But I so we all grew up in an era, right? An era of music that we hear a song and it just brings us straight back, And we did one episode about original singing, and that a lot of those songs are really familiar. Growing up myself as a kid in the mid to late 70s, there's a really unique style. But then as you get older, you get into your teens and sort of your needs change, just as you get older, and you're looking for something else, that sort of fits your needs. And that's when this sort of, at least from my experience in Montana, this sort of contemporary style singing come about. And it was so unique at that time for me hearing it. And when I hear these old tunes from the late 90s, it just brings me right back to the good old, as everybody knows, the good old powwow days, when things weren't, they were different than they were now. And I wanted to talk about that because you're part of that movement. You're on the front lines of that sort of wave of contemporary music that sort of come from the Midwest, So here in Montana, it sort of hit us from the north, up in Canada, and then from the west, or not the west, but from the east.
So I'm quite a bit younger than you, Shandin. Quite a bit.
All right. What do you got then?
Well, so I grew up in the time where like Blackstone to me was king, right? So Blackstone was king, and then all of us, everything was Cree, like everything, like all the contemporary powwow singing was Cree. Well, shit, all the powwow singing really, like everything new was for us, and Crow was coming from the north. Then all of a sudden, man, like Iabe comes out, right?
Yeah.
And then we get these tapes, like, and it was all because my uncle Jeff McDonald in Black Whistle, like they were like traveling and stuff, and so they'd bring tapes back, and we'd be listening to tapes, and so that's when I first like heard that style, like that Midwest, I guess, the Minnesota thing. And after that, it was over,
Yeah,
it's over. Made it cool, man, because like to me, like Blackstone is to me is like on my Mount Rushmore, right? But as a kid, I couldn't relate to them. Like, no offense, but like me and Terry Pascabin aren't the same person, like we're not from the, it's not. I grew up with like baggy pants and like, you know what I mean? Like, so when I seen like Iabe especially, and then like later, like you guys, and the boys, it was like, whoa, that's cool, man. I want to be like them. Later, I'm not as cool, but I do my best.
All the tapes and CD covers all looking like rap covers and everything.
Yeah.
Even the names of the songs.
Yeah. Like that, we thought we were cool, you know what I mean? Because like even when you talked about that, Shandin, the contemporary music starting, you look back at even some of those old Indian House and Canyon and different CDs or tapes, I should say, of like Mandarin and different ones. It says contemporary powwow music on there even still, and it's like, so even just like no one really even knew what contemporary was at a time. I guess for lack of better way to explain it, a lot of times people would just say, oh, they're straight singing or word singing, what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then contemporary kind of didn't really come around until about that, like that time, you're talking about Aaron's like the, where, would instead of just grass dance song, flag song, like we're like, why don't we like, why don't we name them? You know what I mean? And it's like, I think we got as I remember songs called like, like G Unit and different stuff like that. And, but we thought we were cool, trying to held up the release because, trying to figure out what song? Well, 11 still needs a name, and then so and so who made it, I want to call this, but yeah. So it was sometimes even held up the release of our CD because it didn't know what the name of song. Did. But yeah, that's that's like you're saying, Aaron. That's where I was at too. You know what I mean? Because I'm old, but I'm not that old. But it's but that was about around the time that I was into it as well too. Because when I very first started singing, my older brothers, Hokie and Opie, those were some of my teachers. We had other teachers, uncles, teachers, but they, who I learned from the most and more often, was my older brothers, Hokie and Opie. And when they, they would go, and they were kind of a little bit already, I guess, established singers at that point, or getting there, and kind of making a name for, and getting to sing with different groups, and Hokie would sing with, Stony Park here and there and different things like that. Get the call, I guess,
Yeah.
And yeah, so, and so what we practiced all the time was around that time, we practiced a lot of Blackstone. We practiced a lot of, Chiniki Lake and Pigeon Lake and even not so much like
lakes.
Right,
all the lakes.
Not so much like Whitefish or Whitefish Bay very much, but
they weren't lakes.
Definitely those guys. But and then Stony Park back when I remember a lot of guys used to call Monster Park because there was a couple of summers where they were just untouchable, and that was what we grew up learning, our older singers, would teach us, I guess I don't want to say the basics, but the fundamentals, about what it is to be a singer, right? And so that's what we kind of would get from them, we'd get all the old songs and everything, but then we were on our own kind of listening and practicing to, some of those other bigger names, not that, Porcupine and Red Lake and all those other drums aren't, Badlands, like they weren't, not that they weren't top names, right? But for us, we started learning those fundamentals from, my Uncle Jim Claremont and different teachers we had around the cities. But, on our own, we kind of, I guess, started wanting to emulate some of those other groups. And so that's what we practice, in the basement and in the van on the way to the powwow, back in the powwow van days where you could swivel the captain chairs. And everyone was on a cooler here and there. And sang all the way to the powwow, on the way home from the powwow.
Oh yeah.
My uncle probably was like, "Can you just go to sleep?"
Shut up. Well, this is one thing I wanted to have you guys listen to, because this is sort of the definition of sort of when I think of contemporary, or like you said, I like that you said that because that brought me back to that time where we didn't call it contemporary. We said word songs. Oh, they sing word songs, and that meant this other style. So listen to this, and you're gonna pick it out right away. Right away, I'm sure of it. Don't look at the screen because it might reveal the name. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, don't look at the screen.
You can't tell us not to look at the screen, and then.
Yeah, you looked right at
it. Wait, am I playing the game or
turn away? Yeah, you can play too. This is going to be an easy one, but this is sort of the definition. This is what I think about. And I'm going to ask you a question about it. Are you ready? Here we go. Can you hear it?
Yeah, they're going to say the drum group's name though.
Yeah, well, don't look at it. Don't listen. Well, you got to listen. Okay, this is classic. It out when you know it. Gotta have a lot of bird calls in content.
And pterodactyl calls.
Oh yeah. Go back to the Jurassic.
Shit, I don't know. That's
don't
not
know?
Blackstone?
What? What do you think? This is iconic, man. Well, for my generation, I should say. For my generation. Iconic. No idea.
It's not. Is it Chiniki Lake?
No.
Oh, I don't know then, man. Blackstone? I don't know. I don't know.
What you got, man?
It's more than one.
So this was the first song, at least that I heard, that employed that double lead with the solo.
The solo.
The first song that I heard that had that sort of, and this sort of was the definition. I was like, oh man, this is new. I never heard anything like this. What is this? And you got the signature sort of slow beat, kind of that real bouncy but heavy beat, like iconic contemporary singing, iconic. But I'm surprised.
I don't know it.
I'm surprised neither of you know it. You guys must be kind of young.
It sounded
youngsters. So Aaron took a guess. Well, Bud, what do you think? Take a guess.
Well,
but probably out of generation and out of region, maybe.
Well, I thought it, well, from what I remember, and I could be wrong, but I thought it was wasn't that a song that was like Blackstone, Yabe, and Black Lodge? Like they all, like, I don't know, or I can't remember, something like that. But sounds very Blackstone-ish to me, with the double lead and so. But if I remember right, that's
Well, this song became pretty popular, and you're right. A bunch of groups sang it, but whose song it is, I couldn't say. I won't speak for. Who's Blackstone is Blackstone. Yeah, but it made it onto one of their tapes.
Why did you give me that?
Well, I got to cast doubt, man. I got to cast doubt.
Yeah. I could have swore though that song was like, I don't know if I can't remember if it was maybe somebody they made it together or because I remember I want to say it's something like that, but I do remember that was because at the time I think there was like solos and but that one had the double lead and the solo and then too like around that time they were kind of they were putting a stamp on that. That 90s slow contempt, not everyone could do it either,
No.
Like not everyone could pull it off. And two, over time, the contempt singing has went through phases too, where back then, like Mandarin, like I don't know, Badlands, Porcupine, like you listen to any of those CDs or you watch any of those old Greenwich tapes on like YouTube or whatever. Man, they're just like they're going, There's just a real fast pace, and then there's a time where that super slow contempt beat went away, even for contempt groups, and then we tried to bring it back here and there, and there was also a time too, probably I don't know, I'd say a couple of probably 4 or 5, 6 years ago, maybe there was a time too where it was regions, we could have a slow song that was just like fire, right? And we would sing it for Saturday Night Live or whatever, somewhere in a certain region, and everyone would jam to it. But then we'd go to a different region, Washington or somewhere, or Oklahoma or somewhere, and sing that same song, and no one's dancing. Everyone's like,
no one's into it. No one's
right. So there was a point where probably 4, 5, 6 years ago where we kind of had to just play it by ear where we were, have a fast contempt jam in intertribal, a slow one, I'm like 90 slow, and then kind of mid range, and just have to play it by ear, see what the dancers liked, or and then there's times too where we're like, you know what, that they might not have been dancing to so and so, but hopefully they're gonna dance to us and we'll sing it anyways. But yeah, that was that iconic '90s slow beat, and yeah, you're right. Like Blackstone and the Abe were kind of some of the first ones that really, side calls, they were everywhere, and they even had certain guys within their group that did something where you just knew they were going to do it, like I think Yabe had one by one of their singers that was called like the Wounded Calf, I remember they called it or whatever, and it was like like it was like they had all these different side calls, like different ones did different different screams or whatever you want to call them, right? Like and everyone was different, like Blackstone, he was a lot of high pitch and a lot of coming from everywhere. Abe had more distinct ones, that coming, certain singers would do it. And then even a little bit later after that, around when like midnight, with like you'd hear like whips, you knew his, first pause in that between the first and second verse, you knew that Hokaha was coming, right? Like like it was just like different things. But yeah, they were kind of some of the first ones that came out with a lot of just a lot of energy. No matter what the beat was, right? Like their energy was, you could tell. We didn't really have a whole lot of guys that did that when we first started and we were first kind of getting onto the scene. Hokie, our lead singer, was actually one of our first kind of screamers, and that's usually unheard of, like the lead singer doing, screams and whatnot. So
yeah, you gotta kind of crazy. His voice, gotta keep you guys.
It's like control. Almost a form of
what?
It's like almost a form of branding. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it becomes so associated with that group, like you're saying, like with Whips and Midnight. Like, it almost feels weird if somebody else does it in another group. Even though, like Hokahe is like a thing a lot of people say, but it became so recognizable that it felt like you were stealing. If you heard, like, if somebody heard another group do it, you're like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, that slow beat, though, man. The only other group later that I heard do that slow beat just as good was Meskwaki Nation.
Oh, yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
On like a consistent basis. Like, that was their, And then two, also, what's different, we didn't talk about, and, when you talk about Meskwaki Nation, what was also their staples was late Dell's downbeats. Like, you just knew he was gonna throw a triple and then a 9 and then a double and then a 4, 5 after that. You know what I mean? And it was awesome. For guys who weren't used to seeing that, they'd be like, man, what the heck? But then after you get used to it, like, oh, that's Dell. That's that's Meskwaki. That's what they're gonna do.
I kind of forgot about Meskwaki, man. I can honestly tell just now. They were one of the first groups, because to me, every contempt group was like Cree or Ojibwe, right? So like in those languages, when you're in a powwow song, sound similar. So I remember when I first heard Meskwaki, it was like a different language.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is weird, man. Like, this is kind of cool. I liked it.
It's actually kind of weird too, though, when you think about it, because Meskwaki, Cree, and Ojibwe are all the same language base. So it's really weird. Awesome. Yeah, like you'll hear a lot of similar words like nimito, like nimichig, like they're all like, talking about dancing, but it's all very similar. Even how they say bear, like, in Cree, it's, Muskwa. And then I think it's the same. It might even be the same in Meskwaki, but then in Ojibwe, it's Mukwa. So without the S. But so it's weird how it sounds different in a song when you're talking about.
So I'm not wrong though. Meskwaki sounded different. That language.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah. They had their own. And I think too, it's how the words were put together and broke down. You know, it's like a lot of the Cree words, you know, a lot of the older Cree contempt songs, they were, not to put it, not like it's putting it down, but they were just saying the word itself, right? Like, and you know, like just
exactly, like it wasn't grammatically correct, or if you will.
Well, no, they weren't. Like they were just saying it. They weren't like altering it a whole lot. Like,
yeah, I get what you mean.
So like that Blackstone song, Kakeo, Kakeo, Neawa. They're just saying the word, right? Like, and a lot of Meskwaki, like how they put them together, and one word would be slow, and then there'd be 3 words together real fast. You know, and kind
like
of like the Abe did that as well too.
Yeah,
like their cadence was different.
Yeah, it's like old school rap versus sort of the new school rap in a
way.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Let's not get started.
Yeah.
Let's not get started on that. All right.
Because the old school rap is pretty much like, if you want to think about it, it's on a beat, right? And they rhyme on a beat. And it, you don't.
Well, they actually use real words too. So
yeah. We're starting to sound old now, like my boy.
Right.
You guys are old heads.
Look.
Oh
know,
yeah.
Even
nice.
So you know what era I grew up in too. So
to me, Ice Cube is like one of the best. He's one of the best. I'm a Cube guy.
All right. Well, let's listen to this other one, because this one is iconic to me too. And then I'm going to show you a couple that Aaron sent me that's iconic in his era. So see if you guys can guess this one. And I got a whole handful of these. I don't know if we'll get to them all, but this is from my era. So let's
I like this. This is fun.
I do too, man. All right. Don't look at the screen. You might reveal the answer.
We're not looking at the screen.
All right. This comes to you from pretty iconic powwow during these times. Skometsen. You ready?
Yep.
I know you're ready. Here we go. This one might not jump out right off because it is iconic, but you'd have to be from the era, from how they sounded then. This is back when all the singers had braids too. 2 braids. Any guesses? Keep listening now. I'll give you a hint. They're still around. Pretty popular. They don't sound like this anymore, I don't think. Sort of, but...
This is very old. This is like very...
Yeah. Any guesses? You can tell by the language, of course, where they're from. Or at least their region.
Which country?
Country? Yeah. Which nation, if you will? I hear this, and this brings me back to the station wagon, riding in the station wagon.
The wood panels.
The gallon of water. Loaf of bread.
Man, I don't know.
You got them powwow cookies, you know. You don't know.
Cathedral Lake.
No.
Flying Eagle.
No.
Wild Horse.
Kind of in the right region.
That's a good. Hey, Wild Horse is a good guess.
Yeah. Remember, they're here now today in this day and age, and they're really popular.
Oh, that's Northern Cree.
Yeah, it's Northern Cree, man.
Oh, it's a totally. Oh yeah. That's the Randy Wood days.
Yeah, old school. Well, at least it was probably. There's even an older school Northern Cree than than this clip, but yeah, those old.
Yeah, they definitely have a different. They had a different sound back then.
Yeah,
you know that. Well, obviously, a lot of groups that are still around had and have a different sound than.
Yeah,
except for. I mean, Blackstone still has that sound, but their songs are different.
Yeah.
They had the sound is very similar, which is kind of weird because there's, you know, they don't have the same core, I guess. You know, other than, you know, Terry and a couple of others, you know, Rocky and who not, but they don't have. So it's weird that they have the same sound, but their songs are different. Same like Northern Cree back then, you know, like that Northern Cree was, you know,
crispy,
you know,
crispy, man.
So this is what I noticed. And I was going to ask you a question about the double lead, because I was always curious. Well, I wonder who did the first double lead, and who do you know that sort of started that phenomenon? Then I'll jump back to this Northern Creek question I got. Who do you know that sort of the origin?
Well, I think it was around. Well, I think it was around the same time because, like I said, I thought that, you know, I could be wrong, but that Blackstone song, you know, I want to say that a couple different guys made that, just from what I can remember, you know, like like I think even in that clip, I think, you know, late Terry was even singing in that song with Blackstone. Yeah, but I want to say, I don't know who did it first, but I would say Blackstone or Iyabe, but I think it was around the same time. So unless, you know, unless you were with one of those groups at that time, then, you know, it'd be kind of difficult to say, oh yeah, well, Blackstone did it first or Iyabe did it first, you know. Well, even Black Lodge was even in there too at that time. They were doing a lot of solos and double leads and whatnot. Even the long lead, you know.
Oh,
like, that one, you know, the Che Mod song, that Che Mod, like where that whole thing is the lead, you know. Like they were in that mix too. So I wouldn't know. I wouldn't want to say, oh yeah, they did it for sure, because I think it was right around that same time. You know, around that same time in the, you know, whether it was like 89, 90, 91, somewhere around there. Maybe even a little bit after that, but.
Yeah, that was always a debate when I was younger that I'd have with folks and in my age. We'd say, and it was always it was either Iyabe or Blackstone that came up with this new sort of double lead. And we never really knew, because we were just a bunch of little scrub kids in Montana and didn't really know the powwow circuit in that sort of way. But that was always our thought. It must have been Iyabe or Black Lodge, or not Black Lodge, but Blackstone.
Fun fact too, though. So, you know, we didn't really even start with introductions or anything. So people listen to this probably like, who?
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Yeah, I was going to get to that.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was going to get to that after this next clip, but do it now. Yeah. Who are we talking to?
We're going to go through this whole podcast without saying who I am, and then people can call in and we ask later. No. No, so anywho, my name is you know, Bud Day. Most people know me as either Bud or James. You know, that's how I grew up. But anywho, I sing with the Bois drum group based out of Twin Cities, Minnesota, and get into my little fun fact. So we started singing in 1989 at Prairie Island Powwow in July. So like that second weekend in July of Prairie Island in Minnesota. It was our very first time setting up. So this July, oh my gosh, it'll be 35 years that we've been a group together.
Holy cow.
I sang at that very first powwow. I've been, you know, a member of TBZ or the Bois ever since. You know, and we're a contemporary group. But that we didn't sing our very first or have our first song that had a solo in it until last April.
Really?
And so until 2023. So like 34 years we went without singing a solo. And
you guys missed the trend.
So we pulled it out and you know, we sing it. We still sing it every now and then.
Because you're trying to that was our. He's arguing about the name. He's arguing about the name for 30 years.
Took that long, No, so that was you know, like that was because, you know, at that time, you know, like I said, you know, that was Blackstone and Iyabe and Black Lodge's thing, right? So we were like, you know, we'll stay away from it, you know.
Yeah.
And it took until last year before we finally, and it took some coaxing too. Some of our older guys were like, I don't know.
We don't want to relive that.
Right. Yeah. So we tried it. It's a fun song still. We like it, but
nice.
Yeah, it took 34 years before we sang our first one.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. You missed the trend. That's pretty punk rock, man.
We missed the train. Wait for it to come back around.
Yeah.
Well, that's that's a long history, and I'm always interested, as is Aaron, about the history of our singing ways, and it's always good to talk to people that are knowledgeable and about the current things, about sort of how our singing trends evolve. And so that's why I was really interested in talking with you, because you mentioned how long you've been singing with this group and how long they've been around, and just the history of seeing the different changes and trends in our way of doing things. And I wanted to point out something, because there was sort of a turn that I noticed in contemporary singing, at least in my generation. So those first two clips that I had you listen to, really, like, one of the signatures was this real kind of high singing. People sing really high.
Mm-hmm.
I remember some old timers, they're just screaming around, they're not singing. Still. Yeah, it's still that, they still get that. But there was a change, at least in sort of my timeline of contemporary singing, and it happened when this one particular drum group came on the scene, and to me it was very unique in a couple ways that we already mentioned. Sort of that idea of how you said the words were just spoken, sort of in a like these little compartments, but this group was doing it a lot different. They were breaking words up and dragging them out, and it's really unique. But it was the tone and the pitch that really did it for me. And it was it also brought in sort of this new wave, almost like this swagger about singing, where the style of dress sort of changed in a way. It was sort of these younger people, this new trend. Not everybody had braids, So listen to this and you'll probably know who it is right off, because it's super iconic again in sort of my little world of contemporary singing. So listen to this again. Don't look, and you're going to get this one right off. I just know it. Here we go. That sounds good. Oh, that sounds good.
It's Ojibwe, right?
It's definitely Ojibwe.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And when you listen to this, the thing I noted when these guys when I first heard them, is that there wasn't really super high singing. There was a lot of bass, a lot of bass, and it sounded really good to me. Like, these guys aren't way up there the whole time. They got this real deep bass singing. And I have I got a cousin who when we were young, I always sing around, and he had this theory about singing. And he said, you know what I'm gonna do? He said, I'm gonna really eat a lot. I'm gonna get fat. I'm gonna get fat. Get real fat so I can sing really well. Because all these really good singers, they're all fat.
Who said that?
You know who said it? Yeah.
That's Pat Matt or Tonka.
No,
Tonka.
Yeah. My little bro Tonka. Yeah, that was he never did it. He could never get fat. He was one of those guys that could eat anything and he never gained weight.
He had a tapeworm.
Hey man, like, speaking of Tonka, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was that way for a long time, That's what all my older brothers say. Hey, this guy got tapeworm, but
yeah.
I've accomplished my feat.
Do you sing better?
I have increased volume. No,
your high bass. You got that Junior Merrick high bass now.
Yeah. He's not wrong in a sense, though, because man, some big guys just like,
yeah.
But I think it's a different practice too. Like, how you learned how to sing, depending on from which era, where your teachers were from.
Yeah.
You like, just gonna call it out, like you can tell guys who learned from watching YouTube or just, from recording than guys who were sat down and taught, taught by actual singers. And not that either way is right or wrong, because you as a singer, not everyone's privileged, not everyone has the same raised in the same area or with with families that sing or have singers around, right? So you kind of, if you want to learn to sing, you're going to learn however which way you can. But a lot of those older guys, I was always taught that, sing from your diaphragm, sing from your stomach, and you can tell guys who do it and who don't, it's really weird, like you can tell and then you could tell guys who just practice just to lead, you know what I mean? You get them like they're, with the group and everything, and man, just like awesome, crisp lead or whatever. But then you ask them to sing for a hoop dancer or something with a hand drum, and they sound crazy because they can't sing a whole song. No.
I don't even think
but it's true though. The big guys do have a lot of volume.
Yeah, they're loud, man.
They are loud. They're loud and deep. So this was where I was would kind of cut in about your history, because this was what I had thought when I was growing up as a kid. We seen the Ojibwe come in on the scene. They come from the east and they brought this new sound, and then I started hearing the Bois, and I thought for some reason, because I seen some of the singers from Ojibwe singing with the Bois or vice versa, and I thought, they must have been
or vice versa, right?
Yeah, there must have been a breakup in Ojibwe, and bunch of them went over to the Bois. That's just what we had thought. Kind of an urban legend in Montana was there was a split.
Oh, it was. Yeah. I remember people had their own. We filled in the gaps. So in our minds, Ojibwe and the Bois were the same drum group. Yeah. And then it was like, what the heck's going on? So we had drama for you guys.
Yeah, we created a bunch of drama. So you can set the story straight for us now. Was there drama?
Okay.
If you don't want to talk about it, that's fine.
Yeah. No. So Ojibwe, they were older guys, right? Like for the most part, and they started around the same time. Like I can't say for certain, but around that time, late 80s, 89, around there. From what I gather, like Ojibwe, TBZ, Blackstone, like they all kind of, but they were older guys, right? So it was a little bit easier for them to be established. So they set the scene. They were, they were more successful right off the bat because they were just older. We were young guys, we didn't, that whole first year, we didn't even really have an established crew, right? Like we had just like and so it wasn't until, we didn't really start traveling until about 94 or so. So we sang together around the cities, in little powwows. Setting up and practicing for a long time, for about 4 or 5 years. And then we started getting some singers from some other singers that were either sing with different groups or little local groups around the cities or around Minnesota. Wanting, hey, this, we got this group of young guys from the cities, and they're wanting, and so we would get other, like-minded younger guys from the cities. And so, we started, like Worm and, Buffalo and, their older brother, late Darien, and like different ones. And then like Terry St. John's younger brother, Gistana, most people know him as G. They started singing, and then we started picking up just different guys, all different guys from around the cities area. And so that's where some of the connection with the Ojibwe, that's where some of those pieces, a lot of times if we weren't singing, G would go sing with the Ojibwe or whatever. And then there was even then there were after some years, there was a time where, different ones, started singing with different groups, and and so that's kind of where that was. Or not, I don't want to say that there was really like drama or anything like that. It was just that we started similar time, but they were older, and so it was a lot easier for them to be established, and they kind of set their own style before before we even really had a crew, right? Like, and so we didn't really start traveling until about 90. We'd go to here, Little Powwow, South Dakota, Wisconsin, and stuff like that, 92, 93, but really didn't start traveling, out of state until 94, 95, and so, and then didn't really have big success until about 95, where we were kind of winning some powwows and actually won Gather Nations in 96. So it was, really? we really sang for quite a while before we really even traveled, where some of those like Yabe, they were already traveling. They were just, it was just the nature of our age difference, I mean, we were still having our aunties and uncles bring us around in a powwow van, and those guys already had their own cars and jobs and kids and everything, so, but so it was never really like any major beef or anything like that. It was just, and then too, like we've had different singers that, went and sang with them for a period of time and stuff like that. But yeah, so there never really was anything like that.
So we made that up. Huh?
And it wasn't necessarily, yeah, you guys are starting rumors.
Well, we're toxic.
Starting fights, we're toxic.
Yeah. Well,
no,
in my mind,
so go ahead.
Oh, in I think the Montana people's mind, we just saw Minnesota as one place.
Yeah.
Right.
So we didn't know. Like in our mind, it's like it could be Red Lake, Battle River, Iabe. They're all just. It's like Minnesota's one place. Like so we all think you guys are like, one big town,
one big city,
one big res,
just like Saskatchewan and Alberta are the same place.
Yeah.
Washington and Idaho and Oregon are the same place.
Pacific Northwest is all one powwow. Well, they do have their own powwows.
Pretty much is.
You can powwow all year long over there, and not leave Pacific Northwest.
I know.
Yeah. So there wasn't really a whole lot. We definitely looked up to them. As kind of, I guess, building our core. Or building our group. Because Shandin, you and I talked about this. It's hard work to keep a drum group together. And not really any. There's not really any good or bad way to say it. It's just hard. And to have longevity like certain groups have. There's been times where there's been a lull in their success or travels too. And. Like Blackstone, there's a good time there where about, till about maybe 5-6 years, maybe a little bit longer than that. They didn't really travel a whole lot. And then they got their younger guys, Terry and his boys, and and then it kind of took a little bit of a new look, or a little bit of but they still have that longevity. But really successful groups, over time, whether they're contemporary or not, they build their group, into in a certain way where you can't just have nothing but leads, right? You can't, it's a lot of groups have tried it, right? And it doesn't really pan out, but you look at the older Blackstone and, like back around the 90s, and Iabe and, they had their group had certain pieces, right? They had their leads, 5-6 leads that were always their consistent leads. And then you got guys that would never ever lead, you got guys who carry their mids, right? You got guys who are their junkyard dogs, right? That are, they're just going to carry the bass and make sure that all those parts are hitting, like, and kind of barking around. And then also, like I talked about before too, they had their guys who would come in with sound effects and side calls, and you had Mishkid, Pookie, or J Rock, and like different ones. Like they'd all have their certain calls, and they just, they fill their group with all these different pieces, right? And so a lot of those really sustainable groups and that carried their sound through for years and years would be built like that. And so like we kind of started doing that too. I don't know if it was by design or if it would just kind of happen that way, but if you look at it, that's how a lot of those groups were successful. Even like different groups like Midnight, like when they came around, they had those pieces too, you know what I mean? And we're no different. We have guys who lead, and obviously over 35 years of time, we've had guy leads and stuff who've came and gone, but trying to keep a core group together is you have that good 5-6 guys who are going to carry your sound and carry your core through. We've been fortunate enough to do that, and part of those cores have changed over time, but for the past probably 10-12 years, we've made pretty consistent with ours, so but you can tell the difference in the sounds, like you get groups who just have really like wicked leads, right? But then the it doesn't translate into the rest of the song or carry in the body of the song and stuff like that. But a lot of those really longevity groups that have a lot of that, a lot of those pieces, and like I said, it's a struggle. It's it's something that you have to put in work, right? It's not it doesn't just get handed to you. You got to work to become established. You got to work to continue to become established, because there's always younger guys, always someone learning coming up behind you, and some of them might want to join you, and some might want to take you down. You know what I mean? It's just the nature of the beast. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. It's really complicated, when you think about it, and anybody looking in who's not familiar with the powwow and powwow singing, who just sees it as a bunch of Indians chanting around, they don't understand that detail and sort of the professionalism and the talent, the musical talent it takes to do that. I remember
the attention to sound. Like a good lead singer or whatever knows sound, knows where to put people, knows where, like, you know what I mean? They know sound.
Yeah. Back in the day when everybody would bring their PAs, when everybody have a PA
system, I remember logging up PAs around.
Oh, yeah.
90. I think 97 or 98 was the last year we took ours around. Maybe 98. I want to say.
Sounds about right. Yeah, that was a whole deal too. Like mic placement, who are you going to set the mic by, and there's this really complicated sound engineering that happens in it that nobody knows outside of the powwow circle, and it's sort of inherent. You don't think about it. Deliberately. It just happens sort of that way. And it reminded me when you said like a bunch of lead singers, like everybody's seen the powwow where they say, okay, let's get all the lead singers together and we're gonna lead us in. They all sound and it horrible. Always sounds
as a group they sound bad. You're like,
you can have the
or take 10, some. Or they're sitting there on the drum for like 5 minutes trying to figure out a song to sing.
And then who's gonna start it? It's like no, dude. You needed the Dennis Rodmans of your group to go out there. They would have had something done.
Yeah. You had about 4 guys trying to do honor beats different times.
Yeah. That reminded me of that. Every time it's okay, this is gonna sound horrible. And everybody wants to record it. I don't know why. It's like, it's gonna sound bad. It's pretty interesting.
Even when they bring like 4 or 5 groups together at the end, and like nobody ever sings hard, you know what I mean? Like everyone, somebody might lead, and then everyone just ends up messing around or hitting each other's drum, and it's all in fun, but like it don't ever sound good.
No, I don't think it's ever ends up the way they like those people who ask for that intended it, because in them it's like the all-star game, so they're like, let's have these guys, but then it's just weird. It's just nobody knows how to
just playing around.
There's not enough Indians.
Yeah.
Every group needs their Indians.
Get all the guys who make the sticks together and have them sing a song. That might sound pretty deadly. the stick makers.
You guys are talking about Iabe. That was the first time I seen the batting glove.
Oh, the slapper. Yeah. Oh no, not the slapper.
No, the actual batting glove, man.
Yeah, wearing the glove while you're singing. Yeah.
Well, I remember too, even groups up north, like I think might have been Chiniki Lake and Stony Park and different ones like that. They'd have the either that or like the weightlifting gloves with the fingers cut with the fingers cut off.
Yeah. I thought that was for fighting after the powwow,
Or you see like the drumsticks, and they got the little leather loop on there or the tape loop, the little trigger, so they don't go flying off.
Yeah,
the trigger.
I hadn't seen that in a while. I forgot about that.
The flat drumstick,
the slapper.
Yeah. I've made a couple of those. Like
my
big bro Ope and my bro Chuck, they were our downbeaters for a long time, and I've made them both one. Because. Terry Paskaman and then also, Late Deli from Squawky, they kind of made that famous, right? Like, that real, now thinking back on it, it actually, I don't know, kind of sounds ugly now. The slapping noise, the slapping noise on it. But back then it was cool,
It was, it was cool.
Like, oh yeah. I even made one that was like the shape of a hand, and all that.
Yeah.
Like, but. But nowadays, thinking back on it, like it didn't really sound very good, but it was cool then. It was definitely cool then.
Well, let's listen to one of Aaron's. Let's jump a generation. Aaron sent me a couple that is apparently iconic from his generation, and you guys are gonna.
Well, I panicked.
Oh, you panicked. So you're not gonna hold yourself to these.
No, because you said pick some tunes, and I panicked.
Well, you got time. If you want to pick something else, go ahead.
No, don't. I mean, they're good ones. They're good ones, man. I picked good ones. This
one you can't look because the label's right on the front of it, so don't look. Aaron's gonna get it right off. Let's see because he gave it to me. Holy shit! Yeah, let's see if Bud can get this one. This one is iconic, and this one has a pretty unique. Well, for me, it's like a unique introduction to a different sort of type of contemporary singing. So let's give this one a sound.
It's not one of the ones that have like the wolf howling in the beginning, is it? No.
I should have.
Remember those too, like Stony Park. Like every single track had some kind of something on there.
Yeah. They had some unique calls too in it. Smoking, remember that? Yeah, they said it. Yeah.
Stupid.
Stop me.
Oh my God.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Man. Yeah, stupid now maybe, but I thought it was cool. All right, here we go. Don't look. Close your eyes. Enjoy the sounds. Here we go. Don't look. Here we go. Give me the thumbs up if you can hear it. Here we go.
Oh, I know who this is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a unique sound, Unique in a different sort of way, too. For me, anyway. Take a stab at it. What do you think? Let it run for a second.
I don't know what era it was, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was in the Aaron or the Wavo days, but
okay, you got it dialed in. Yeah. Let's listen.
I don't know who was lead singer at the time.
Let's listen to it, and you'll know. Let's listen to that lead one more time.
Yeah, that's Star Blanket.
Yeah. Star Blanket Juniors.
Star Blanket Juniors.
Yeah.
they had cool songs, man.
They did, ain't it? It's pretty unique because they're all real young.
Dude. Real skinny, man.
Young and skinny,
Skinny dudes, man.
Before Wavo was a wrestler, he was a skinny guy.
Yeah.
No, I remember Star Blanket. Those they were always around when we growing up, we were always encouraged to to travel, right?
Yeah.
And as a contemporary group or a group who was singing word songs, that really wasn't the case for the places we were typically go to, like South Dakota and like all that. So like we were like people like you guys gotta come to Canada. And so, in 95, I believe was the first year we kind of went and traveled up that way. And they were around and traveling then too, back in those days, it was Flying Eagle, Star Blanket Juniors, a lot of those groups like that. So and they were younger too. So, we kind of would see them and kind of hang out and whatever too. So like they were, because they were a younger group too, like we were. So it was cool that way, you kind of drawn to those, your people who are your demographic, right?
Yeah.
And so don't get me wrong, we were pretty good friends with Blackstone and different ones, kind of go stay at Sweetgrass or different areas, but also like when just hang out with who's like you, right? So
yeah.
it was I remember Star Blanket, well.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. This sort of era, this younger. They're all younger. They're younger than me, and they're blasting these contempt tunes, and I thought that was pretty neat. Plus, they had a unique sound because they're all sort of related. I think in a way, it came from the same reserve, But I think one of the unique things, just like what happened when sort of Ayabe came on the scene, when I seen him, is sort of this new kind of swagger of these young people, They brought this attitude, this attitude about singing, which was new. Because with the older singers, they're from a different generation.
Humble, right?
Yeah. They might come back from the rodeo and sing some tunes, or they had a different sort of demeanor. But then this generation of kind of our generation of, well, not necessarily mine. It's probably the generation after mine, but this.
Well, I think for the older guys, it was you see the older groups at the Powwows, and it wasn't that they weren't successful, but it was more of they were singing because obviously they like to do it. They were good at it, but they were respected for it, and so that's kind of how they carried themselves, right? But then when the younger, more successful groups started coming around, Yabe, just different ones, right? Even us at times, it wasn't like a singing for respect thing. It was like singing was cool then, and so for us, that was, I mean, that's not saying that's the reason why we sang, but it was cool to be a singer, whereas, some of those older guys, I don't know if it was when they were growing up, if it was necessarily like a thing. It was, if it was necessarily a cool thing for them to be a singer. They did it because of they like to do it, they love to do it, or maybe their dad or uncles or grandpa, hey, come sit down, and then they just became a singer. But for us, that new generation, like you're saying, that time, it literally was a cool thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And too, for a lot of speaking for our group, specifically, a lot of broke Indian kids, from the city, it was a way out, it was a way out to get traveling and see the world and meet new people and, snag and like all that other stuff, all the cool stuff, but also, like that was the first time some of us had money like that, going out and being successful on the power trail, not having to worry about bills at home and all that, you know what I mean? Like, getting a $400 drum cut back in the 90s was that was a lot of money, you know what I mean? And
high rolling.
And we were usually traveling together, 3-4 guys in a car, so you had chip-ins on rooms, or we camped a lot too, and so like for us, it was cool, to be successful, and man, we made money and didn't have to worry about lots, and so like it was cool. The whole everything, it was cool. It was cool for us, especially for most of us. Most of us early on grew up in the cities. We were all city boys.
Yeah.
And most of us, none of us really came from any well-off families or anything like that. And most of us didn't come from per cap, communities and stuff like that. Well, that was even before per cap anyways, so
yeah.
But so it was different, it was definitely cool. It was definitely a cool thing to be a singer.
Yeah.
And
you seen that as I was growing up anyway, you could sort of see that change. Go ahead, finish your thought though, sir.
I was just gonna say, we were obviously, like I said, we had really good teachers who gave us our foundation, whether it was, Jim Claremont or, late Johnny Smith or, just different ones, from around the cities, different family members or whatever, Jerry Dearly and all kinds of singers. We learned from a lot of different singers that were doing that work in the cities, so we learned all the fundamentals of, taking care of your drum and, feasting, having drum feeds and, making sure, our drums were looked after. And, we're always taught that, what most young people are told when they're growing up and learning about singing, you take care of your drum, and the drum's going to take care of you. Right. Like we knew that. We had all those fundamentals too, but definitely singing became cool for us at a certain point. And I don't know when that shift came or when it, probably when we actually started to sound good, because, we probably didn't sound good for a while, not as good, like, right. And so, once we started to kind of create our own sound and that kind of stuff is probably when that shift happened. I'm assuming anyways.
Yeah. Who was one of your most influential singers that sort of like you sort of aspired to be, or that kind of sort of made you sound the way you do? I'm curious about that. There are probably more than one, but if there's like
right. So I don't want to say just for myself, like my own singing voice or anything like that, but for us as a group, definitely, you get your sound from your sound makers, right? Like, we were fortunate enough to early on have really good mentors who actually even gifted us songs, right? Like, so we had Terry Pasquin give us songs early on. We had Randy Pasquin give us songs early on. We had Terry St. John give us songs early on, and but also one of our uncles, Kuno Green Crow, he made a lot of our early songs when we were first starting out. He made them either in Lakota or in Ho-Chunk for the most part, and so like we had a lot of songs that were from him, even though he didn't really sing with us very often. He sang with the Yabe more often when we were growing up, but we had a lot of kind of gift us songs early on, and then from there, I think a lot of our early song makers were kind of swayed by their style, right? And so those would probably be some of those that were really influential on us early on. But also even too, like it became a thing where our own singers started to make songs. Opie started making a lot of songs. And he made a lot of our early songs. Opie did, and then we had different ones from our early kind of first crew that would make songs as well. I didn't make my first song until I think it was I don't remember, like maybe 98 or something like that, maybe somewhere around there, 97. And I myself, I was influenced by all those gentlemen, Terry P, Terry St. John, Kuno Green Crow, Opie, my brother Opie, even Randy Pasquin was a big one for me. He would always help me out with words and such. And then another one too was for me anyways. I was always intrigued and picking his brain and asking him for tips when it came to song making was the late Walter Lightning. You know, he used to sing with Siga Scooch and just different groups from up that way, from Muscatcheese, Alberta. From, you know, back then it was called Hobima, you know, but before they changed the name. But so those were some of the singers, songmakers that I was kind of influenced for me. And so we've definitely went through probably about 4 or 5 different eras as far as song making goes in our sound. But starting off early on, you know, those were gentlemen that I looked up to, and I was really timid, I guess, and actually pretty self-conscious about my song making when I first made my songs. And so I did this weird thing, and there's a couple other song makers that I talked to that said they did this early on too. So before I would even show my guys a song, I would literally make it 2 ways. So I would have a set of words and I would have 2 complete songs done before I would show them. And if they liked one, then that's where we roll with it. And if they did it and they'd be like, well, hang on, what about this way? And I'd show them that way. And so it was about a good 4 or 5 years before I actually kind of broke myself from that habit or practice, because I was so self-conscious about like my songs not being good or not, the guys not liking them, that I would literally make them 2 different ways. My very first intertribal song I made, it was a Cree song, and I made it 2 different ways. And the one way our guys liked, but then I was showing you know, one of my mentors, like I was telling you, late Terry St. John, I was showing him both of those, and he goes, well, hopefully Hoke likes that one because I like that one, the other one. And so my very first song I made, well, the 2 very first versions I made, they both ended up on CDs. One's on our CD, one of our CDs, the Bois, and the other one is on an Iyabe CD. And so they were like, can we have that other way? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I didn't think anyone wanted to sing it, but so they sang. So my very first Contempt song that I made is actually on 2 CDs.
Nice.
And it's you know, and here I didn't think either one was good, but you know, and actually the version that we sang was actually went off beat. It actually went off beat, and I wasn't sure until after, and then the guys were like, "No, just change it. It's gonna be in a intertribal anyways. Guy, they can dance to it, you know." Yeah. And so, you know, they're like, it's not like it's a contest song where someone's getting, you know, they're dancing to it and having to stay on beat. So we kept it that way. The guys are like, nope. You know, my older brother Hokie and Chuck Lastly are like, nope, just keep it. We like it. And I was like, even though it goes off beat, they're like, yeah, we're just gonna roll with it. So
that's pretty cool.
So that I would say, like, early on, those were definitely some really influential singers on us. And I think a lot of groups are that way, you know what I mean? Like, you're starting out, you're kind of wanting to create your own sound, make your own songs, but you know, you have other singers from established groups who are encouraging you by, you know, gifting you songs. Because like when you go to a powwow, especially if you're newer, you know what I mean? Like we grew up singing everybody's songs, you know what I mean? Porcupine song, Blackstone, Stony Park, you know, and then when we first started traveling and competing, you know, we only had a small, you know, handful of songs, you know, 10, 15 songs. And like, you know, you kind of need more than that, right? Like, and then
just a little bit more. Yeah.
Right. Especially, you know, like there was even, I remember early on too, where, you know, we would go somewhere and be like, man, we might not get judged on it or something, but it was a song we sang often, and like having to go to like Blackstone or Stony Park, you know, with tobacco or whatever. And hey, you know, we kind of sing this song, you know, it's one of your guys' older ones. You know, we don't sing it very often, but you know, do you mind if we sing it? And, you know, I don't remember a time where a group said no, you know what I mean? Like, no, you can't sing that. But
that's a sacred pipe song.
Right. Why are you guys singing that?
Why are you singing that?
That's a That's a memorial song. No,
it's a badass crow hop.
But
not anymore.
and now it's cool that like kind of come full circle, because like it's a bit of a reminiscent, but also like it's just a good realization or memorization of where we were, like when groups come and ask you, hey, or encourage these these younger groups, like, hey, or sometimes they don't even know, right? Like there's like in the past couple of years, it's happened a couple times where a younger group or someone maybe from a different part of the country, I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, oh, hey, dang, that's my song, and I'll go over and put some tobacco or money on their drum, and they're kind of like, what are you doing this for, or whatever. And I'm like, that was my song. Oh, dang, that's your song? We didn't even know. We just heard it and we liked it, And so sometimes it even happens that way where some of the younger singers don't even know, what I mean? Like, it's crazy though. Over the past 20 years, we've pumped out a lot of songs, and over the last little bit too, I guess a lot of my singing, I kind of reverted away from making a lot of intertribal tunes and stuff like that. I'll within a lot of groups, you got guys who make your intertribals, you got guys who make your round dances and all that. So like, for a time there, it was kind of seeming like, man, everyone's just making intertribals. We need a fancy dance song or whatever. So I just, well, I'll do it. So I just started making the majority of our contest songs, and then from there it kind of went into the secondary songs. So majority of what I've made in the probably past 5-8 years or so have been contest songs or like side steps or crow hops. Like majority of our songs that we sing for like contests, a lot of them are, because we got so many song makers, and but a lot of guys like making intertribals, and so not everybody likes making contest songs. Not saying our song makers don't, because they make some jamming tunes too, but for me, my mindset is like, I'll just kind of stay here, because there's definitely always going to be a need for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you ever do that when you made a song and you show it to somebody, but you say it's someone else's song?
Oh yeah.
No. That's so and so's. Yeah, that's a good one.
And you're like, I made that tune.
Yeah.
Oh, so I have. So I have had it happen before where I've sent the guys a song, and they didn't like it, or they kind of crickets or whatever, and then like a year or two later, pull it out again, and it's literally happened that way where I've sent the guys a song and kind of fell on deaf ears. The guys didn't really have too much reaction to it, and then about 2-3 years later, pulled it out. Man, that's a dope one. Where was that one? I was like, I sent it like 3 years ago. Y'all didn't like it, but now you like
it. Pretty good, man.
Like, but I haven't came to the point where I was like, where I wasn't like, oh yeah, check the song so and so. I've never got to that point though, but I should try it one of these days.
Yeah, try it.
Check out the song that so and so gave us.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I'm lying. I made that.
Sort of dominating the questions. I don't know if Aaron has any questions. You guys come from the same era, huh? Man. What?
No.
What? You got no questions?
Bud's older than me.
Oh. How old are you, Aaron?
I'm 40.
Oh yeah, I'm way older than you. No, I'm not way older than you. I'm born in 80. I'm 43.
Oh okay, yeah, so couldn't be much. So
not too.
We would have went to high school. We would have high school together. But
we would have wrestled on the same team.
I don't feel 43 though. I feel like I'm like 36, but in my mind I'm like 29 until I like hang out with some 29-year-olds. Then I'm like,
oh yeah.
No, dude, that's the worst, dude. That's the worst. That's the worst. I don't recommend it, because then you're just like, no, I'm gonna leave now.
Do the Irish the Irish goodbye where you just kind of turn and walk away.
Yeah, fade out. You just fade out, dude.
Yeah, the Homer Simpson just nope. Yeah. I'm gonna
to the bushes.
Well, are you playing any more tunes or no?
I can. I got a whole stack of them here, man. Well, they're from my era though. You want to play?
No, play that. Play. I'm just gonna tell him play that the song that's a Bois song because I want to know the history of the song.
Okay.
Because I like the tune, it's newer, but man, dude, I love that tune.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah, let's get the history on this one. So this is one of the songs that you all sing. This is
I just like it. I love it. It's a cool tune.
I'll be honest. I don't know.
I probably made it, but no, I'm just kidding.
It's probably mine. Then. It's probably mine. Yeah. If you like it, it's probably mine.
Yeah.
It's a cool tune. Yeah.
That's mine. Okay, so this was. From,
I've had people claim my songs.
Really?
That's something that just kind of blew my mind. Like, what in the world? Like, actually, even when we went to Paris, we went to Paris and right after the New Year, and did some singing over there, and one of the songs that we sang for the dancing portion was one of my kind of burner tunes, like just a quick little straight song. Yeah. And someone commented on one of the Facebook videos that someone shared, and they're like, "Oh, that's my dad's song, blah blah blah. Haven't heard it since whenever." I'm like, okay, all right,
maybe, maybe, but maybe not.
You should have said, "Am I your dad?"
Son.
probably your dad, bro.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, it was an older lady too. So I don't know. Maybe her dad made a tune that sounded like it or whatever. But
could have been.
Yeah, it was wild.
All right, so this is 2018.
Play at least one start though.
2018. Right? We're gonna listen to Let's check this out. Shakopee 2018. Let me get this right. I
know which one it is.
You already know. All right.
Dude, I love it, dude.
Here we go.
Can't get it.
Let's get the history on this. Here, yeah.
So that tune, like how we talked about earlier, that kind of iconic 90s slow contemporary beat Blackstone was famous for.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we had a couple that were like that. Not a whole lot, but we had a couple. And actually, the ones that we did have were either, we had one from Terry Pascaman that he gave us. We had one from Randy that was like that, and then we also had one from their brother Powwow, Powwow Standing Rock that he gave us. So a lot of we had a handful that were slow, kind of Blackstone-ish beat like that, and so we wanted to kind of bring that back because at the time, 15, 16, 17 for probably even more than that, 14, 15, 16, 17 on the Powwow Trail, like all the contempt groups, they were all singing, all right, Northern Cree, take it away. And it was, all their tribals were really fast jamming, Young Spirit, even us, the boys, like our tribals were just like big jamming, fast, strong beats. Yeah. And we're like, man, I want to do something different, like let's go back to singing a slow one. And so those words were actually from one of my first intertribals I made. So that song was made in Ho-Chunk language. And so I had those words. I think it was about 1990, 99, I think. 99 or maybe 90. Yeah, I think 99, somewhere around there is when I made that song. And so the first version of it, I don't know if I remember the lead right offhand, but it goes yeah, hey, away, hey, oh, hey, Shark Shepta, Hoki Kadosta, hey, wa, ne, I, da, jay, away, way, ho, way, ho, hey, Mashanaya way, Waishak way, hey, hi. So that was like the first version. That was way back in the late 90s when I made that song. And so at the time one of our former singers was wanting to make a slow jam, and we were like, man, kind of put it in the ear of our song makers, hey, let's try a old slow 90s contempt song. And so I shared those words with Jermaine, and he made that. That's where that one come from. And we got a couple other slower tunes like that since, but we try to throw in maybe one every year or so, kind of a slower tune, just to give people something different. But so those were words from a song that was a remake from like way back in the 90s. I remember we sang it actually for Team Boys Grass back in Skemitson, and we got judged on it. And so I remember dancing my first song and running back and having someone hold my roach or whatever, and then sang, and then had to try and run and line up, and afterwards, even though I only danced to the first song. But I remember we that's what I remember about that song, that first version. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of my first songs I made were either Ojibwe, Cree, or Ho-Chunk, just because that's who I had around me, to get words from, because we grew up in the cities, so we didn't have a lot of language speakers around or whatever, and I, to be honest, I don't even know if I've ever even made a Lakota song. Even though like my Uncle Jim, Claremont, he speaks, is fluent and everything, but yeah, so like a lot of my early tunes were either Ojibwe or Ho-Chunk. So yeah, that's where that song come from. We wanted to, it's kind of full circle to our talk, because we talked about, that first song you played, that Blackstone song, and real slow, like, back then they didn't need to do the drop, like how we do now, like, build up and drop it to go slow. They just sang slow the whole way, and that was they didn't need to, like everybody was like, oh, Blackstone, all right, yeah. So
yeah. But you're exact. So the reason I like the song is exactly what you said. So I've never been a contempt singer. So all the singing. So I would say I like listening to contempt singing, but I've never been a contempt singer, right? But my first powwow listening experience would have been like Blackstone and all them guys. But you're right. There was these like 6-7 years, well, maybe longer, 10-year period where it was like kind of like how that Cree Confed style is, like just like boom, 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 boom. And I never jived to that. Yeah, because to me, I was like, if I'm going to sing kind of medium fast, I like a good straight sound. Like to me, Big Bear is like Battle River. Like that's it. That's how we're going to sound. I didn't want for me, I was like, I don't want my contempt to sound like that. I don't want to, I was real biased. I was like, no, I'm not going to mess with this. If I'm going to listen to contempt, it's going to be like that. Boom. And so when I heard that song, it seemed throwback to me. And I was like, yeah, this is cool, man. There's
So-
another one too, like it's on YouTube too, but it's from like Muckleshoot, and I'm like, man, I love that tune, man. And I was like,
let's check it out.
I don't know if I sent it to you. Did I send it to you, Shandin?
No, I can find it, but yeah, keep chatting. I'll look for it.
Yeah,
So
it's a banger of a tune, dude. I love it, man.
So one thing that we try to do as a group, and even myself more so as a song maker, is I like to think about a song that I'm making from the outside, from the out, looking in from the outside, as from an outside perspective. So if I am recording or I'm checking out a group, right? Like, it sounds funny if I'm checking out a group, but it is kind of funny. You see those you get those MCs that tease guys. They're like, hey, go over there watching. You ain't got no recorder. You're just over there checking guys out.
Bunch of guys watching.
I don't even care, dude. I don't even care. I don't even care. I'm going up there. I'm gonna check them out.
I don't record, so I don't really record singing. I'll just go check them out and whatever. But if I'm going to watch a group and I hear them, they got a cool song or whatever, if I can walk away and there's a part of that song that I can kind of hum, or it's memorable, there's a cadence to it, or there's a flow or a tune, a memorable part of that tune, then that's it for me. Like, that's how we try to have our songs, because contempt tribals are a dime a dozen, right? Like, it's just there's no if ends or buts about it. They're like, and even more so in the past 10 years, you'll get these big name groups, ourselves included, where we might get a new intertribal and we might sing it 3-4 powwows in a row, and then we might not sing it again till the next year because it's kind of already played its time out. And so, like, because of the nature of how powwow and contests are, like, you have to have new stuff all the time. Yeah. And that's one thing that we wanted to shift this year. Our lead singer, Hokie, he talked about that this spring, or this winter, spring. I say spring because it was kind of like spring, even though it was wintertime. But we were host somewhere.
Get
and
your
he's like,
season straight.
Right. Like, well, last week here in Michigan, it was 36 degrees, and the next day it was 76, and then the next day it was 21. So like, it's all
that's
crazy.
About what it's been like here in Montana. Yeah.
But so Hokie made mention of that, and because every powwow, we my wife and all of our wives kind of tease us because we're usually the last group ever there, to powwow, whether we're host or not, because we come together every at the end of every powwow, whether we're host or contesting, no matter how we do, and we talk about the weekend just quickly and kind of thank everybody, but then we also pray, with our group. But while we were doing that, he mentioned, he's like, one thing I want to do different this year for our song makers is, don't push them out, don't try to push them out a new one every month, because we don't necessarily need that. We can do it. We've done it, but I want our songs to be more memorable. I don't want to. I don't want to sing one and then someone, a couple years later, hey, how come you guys don't sing that one? I've only heard you sing it twice, and just sing it for contest twice and then move on. So we want it. He's like, let's sing them. We might come out with a new one, maybe once a month or something, but doesn't have to be in a tribal. Doesn't have can be just come out with them slower, but sing them. Actually sing them, sing them throughout the summer, make them more memorable, and so that's what we've been trying to do. That's what I've tried to do as a song maker is and that's what makes it for other groups too, is like, oh man, if I'm walking away and I'm humming a tune or a part of that song, then that's what makes it memorable with me, and not if it's just loud and and then it's like, what are they even saying? We have songs like that too, what I mean? But that's something that me as a song maker really try to do, and we try to make our song memorable, so that we That way they last, right? And if I'm doing that to someone else's song, or if some, then hopefully, the way we make our songs and sing them, then hopefully other people are doing that,
Yeah.
Well, this song here is one of those. This song here to me was one of those. Once I heard it, I was like, this is like one of the tunes. I like it. It's cool, man.
Let's listen to it. Ready? Let's do it. Can you hear it?
Yep.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So I really like those songs where we can make the words out, right? Like.
Yeah.
I mean, I have songs like that too, though, myself, where they're like, boom, boom, boom. But one of the things, I guess, for me, is sometimes like people will hey, what language is that? I'm like, oh, that's Korean. I'm like, wait, what? But I'll put two parts of a word together, and then maybe the first half of a word, and then they'll put a straight part, and then the second half of the word later. You know what I mean? So it's like the way words and stuff are broken down and everything. But I also really like being able to hear what the words are. Make it out to where if someone was to take a guess, more than likely they'd be right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, is that a word? A cha there? Yep. But yes. Yeah, I like those tunes like that. Those again. Those are memorable tunes. Where you kind of go away humming it, or at least a part of it. You can remember as you're walking away, right? Like then you've done your job. But that was another tune that Jermaine made. It was at 2019 or somewhere around there.
Yeah, 2019.
Something like that, I think.
Yeah,
but that's a cool tune. Well, that makes sense because back in the day when Jermaine had North Bear, like every once in a while they'd kick out like a slower tune because they were kind of a fast contempt like jammer of a. Actually, the only time I ever sang contempt in a contest was with North Bear. It was so weird. It's just like for me, straight singing, like, right? That's like my deal. Mandarin's on my Mount Rushmore. And so I show up to this powwow. They come to me, they're like, hey, who are you singing with this weekend? I'm like, nobody. I just thought I was checking it out. They're like, you want to sing with us? I was like, all right, I'll sing with North Bear. I didn't think nothing of it. Shit, about an hour later, man.
Sitting there learn all kinds of tunes.
Yeah. So about an hour later, Mandarin comes up to me and says like, hey, will you sing with us this weekend? And I was like, I just told North, and I didn't want to be that guy that was like, I already said I was gonna sing, and I was just like, and then Mandarin won, and we took second. So
I've been on both ends of that spectrum.
Yeah.
Actually, all three sides of that, I should say, because we've done it where we've asked somebody and then they've jumped ship and they've already were singing with somebody, or we'll ask someone and they're like, oh no, and whatever. And like, oh man, I'm already asked. Like, oh dang it, And then I've done that myself both times too, where someone's asked and was like, "Oh no, man, I'm sorry. I'm already so sorry. Asked me," And then there's also been times where, and it's kind of karma too, because I think it worked out that same way to where someone was like, well, for me anyways, someone was like, hey, you want to sing? I'm like, oh man, I'm already singing over here, and come on, man, just jump ship or whatever. I'm like, grass is looking greener over there. Like, oh,
we're gonna win, man. They're sure to win.
Like,
we won last year.
like, all right, man. And then had the oh man, sorry, I already told them, but I didn't think they were here, and so they're here, kind of whatever type of deal. And jump ship, and then here, lose out or something or get second. Like, dang it, like I've been on all three sides of that spectrum. It's been pretty crazy. I've also had a group one time at gathering. It's kind of, hey man, are you guys full? And yeah, we're full. And then a little bit later is, oh, well, why? Who's asking? Who for? It's like, oh yeah, I was just looking for somewhere to sing. Well, hang on. Here a little bit later, yeah, I got you down, and I'm like, a little bit, and then to see someone at the power. Oh yeah, man, you singing? Nah, man, I was singing over here, but they said they was full. I thought I was in, but I guess they had already told someone else in here I was the guy. I was like, oh man, they booted somebody for me. I'm like, oh man, like this is horrible.
Go to sit down and there's no chairs to sit.
There's a bunch of funny memes out right now, like us, when you call and they tell you you're full or whatever, like there's a bunch of them out there. Pretty funny.
Man, maybe next weekend, man.
Yeah. Maybe next weekend. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe next weekend. But we talked. So in the podcast where we talked, I can't remember who was on it. Was it Mike LaFramboise? We talked with about straight singing. Was it Mike or was it John? No, Walt.
Yeah, it was Walt.
Yeah,
Walt runs above.
Yeah.
So we said the same thing. We said the same thing that you said, Bud, where like the contest has created, I mean, although it's fun and I've had a lot of fun, but it's also created a culture where we're pumping songs out so much that these songs that people grow up listening to, they don't take root like they used to.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the same would be for contempt singing too. Like these songs, like we talked about Iyabe, right? Everybody knows that tune. Everybody knows it because it floated around forever. Yeah. And then when they showed up, you expected dude, and you expect them to sing
hey, you got these young groups showing up and they're like, we're gonna sing a hot stepper. It's like, all right, or like J Rock's there or whatever, and you got this young group and they're like, or Opie or somebody, and they're like, hey, come sit down, and then they sing the hot stepper or whatever,
Yeah, dude, it's classic. But because the contest is forcing people to, like you're saying, so it's refreshing to hear Pokey say like, maybe chill on that for a little bit. Let's let songs kind of like
let them, like you said, take root, because well, recently, past probably 3 years, one of our nephews, he Merville's oldest, started singing with us, full time, and he's always kind of growing up wanting to be a singer and stuff and everything, but he didn't always sing with us, but he's always, it'd be like 3 or 4 in the morning, I'll be driving somewhere on the way to Powwow or heading back or whatever, and he'll send me a tune. Be like, hey, let's sing this one. And obviously it's probably, a tune from when he was in diapers or, somewhere around there. But every now and then, I think it's happened like twice where he sent me a tune and I'm like, hey, what are the words to this? And I'll ask Hoke or someone and I'm like, hey, whose song is that? And he's like, dude, that's yours. What? I'm like, what? And I'll have to listen to it about 3 or 4 more times, and then before I'm finally like, oh yeah, like. But it's because of that, it was something where, we might have sang it maybe 2-3 times, and that was it, and then it kind of just fell by the wayside. Not that it wasn't a good tune, it just had more coming on the back end, and just like there's just So definitely part of the culture, and I would say probably the last 10, 15 years it's been that way, to where you get a certain, even to groups that make CDs every year, what I mean, like
Yeah.
You got to think there's 10, 12 songs on a CD, basically, right?
Yeah.
And if they're making, a CD every 10, 11 months or something, and, you might remember one song from that. There's hardly a time where you're going to have a song or a CD that's iconic, memorable. You're like, oh, that's from that CD. You know what I mean? Like Midnight has a couple that are like that, where like, oh yeah, the Rising Sun CD, or or whatever, that one they made in Nabby Power or whatever. That one's got a lot of iconic tunes on there where oh hey, yeah, that one's from there. Oh, that other one's from there. Even just the, we probably already know, if I say Buffalo Cloud, like, oh, we probably know all those tunes on that CD from Blackstone. Um, but
Forte
but
Shane,
yeah, like,
Forte Shane.
oh yeah, that one too. Those are the Forte Shane ones are probably the ones we grew up singing in the basement. Those are a lot of those. The Danawa Na ones,
Well, like your guys is that Life and Times. To me, that was like, that's a dope CD, man.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. Another one too is the Boys Will Be Boys from Hinckley.
Oh yeah.
That one's got a lot of good tunes on there too. We could sing that a song from there for a grand entry, and even though it's just for a grand entry, because it's an old classic tune, have a bunch of people running up, and we try to do that every now and then too at host jobs. Like, hey, for one grand entry, let's just bust out one of our, like, a classic from somewhere, and so it kind of becomes a little bit of a homework for some of the guys. Like, hey, find a jam that we can try out and pull back out for grand entry or something, like when we're host or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's always fun,
Yeah. People want to hear it because they,
ones right. It's like it's like classic, right? Yeah, it's like something they grew up on or whatever. Like,
well, it's like opposite. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, one tune that comes to mind is a song that Mike Sullivan and Everett made together, and we sang that one pretty consistent for about 2 years, even contesting quite often with it. But it's one of those slow ones again that get your name your day, get ye oh my name your day, name me a day. Every now, I think we sang it for a grand entry one time last year too. And so, like, some of those old classics like that, it's just easier to remember, especially the slower ones. It's like, oh yeah, that slow one, So
that's a cool tune, dude. I remember that one. That's a killer tune, man.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
That's the melody.
That's one thing I think a lot of people don't understand too, is how much songs a person carries around in their head. It's massive.
I was thinking about that, even just songs that I made.
Yeah.
Like, even right now on my phone, my voice notes, I probably have about 8 or 10 woodland songs that I made, probably about 30 round dances that I recorded on my phone that I made, and then just random Powwow songs, like that I have just saved on my voice notes, like, and then just thinking about it, like, man, as a Powwow singer, especially someone who sings, who likes singing contempt or original, like, you have to think about it, and like, we probably know thousands, like, probably every singer probably knows at least 2,000 songs. Like, to where if someone start humming it, you're like, oh yeah, that one, I know that one, I can sing that one. It might not be right from recall, but it if someone sang it, or maybe that might even be your own songs or your own group songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because think about it, if a group's been around for 10 years, more than likely they probably have about 1,000 songs in that 10 years.
I believe it.
Yeah, because and then their knowledge from when they were coming up. So they have all them songs from coming up, then the songs they compose, and then the songs they hear from just being out, you know?
Right. Yeah. Oh, I mean, not 1,000, but like 100 songs in those 10 years, you know, so it's like, yeah, there's a lot of songs, people know. And then it comes to like, you know, nowadays round dances are more prevalent too nowadays too. So you gotta throw in round dances that people know and all that too, not just powwow. So like people know a lot of songs. Like I was thinking about that and kind of blew my mind, like how many songs I think I know.
Yeah, it's a massive.
And I don't even sing Southern, but I know a lot of Southern tunes too.
There's this weird that weird phenomenon, and I don't know if it happens to you, probably everyone, but like you can see a song, like you can visualize its shape, or you know, like you got a visual of it, but you can't get it out, you know, unless somebody sings a little piece of it, then that visual memory of it kind of helps the mouth to sing it. I don't know if that happens to you, but I can see a lot of songs, but I can't see them well enough to sing a whole thing through, you know, unless I hear a little piece, then it kind of snaps that sort of visualization I have in my head. I don't know if that happens to you, but that's sort of how I see them. Sort of like a visual.
Mine comes similar, but it's like not necessarily seeing it in that way, but seeing it how the song's broken down. Like, oh, that one song has that pause here, and then there's that 3 dum dum dum, and then there's you know, it's kind of similar, but it's not exact.
Yeah. Man,
that's kind of how I remember songs. It's like sections, like part, like it's mechanical to me. Like the way I see a song is mechanical.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It does.
Right. Well, I you know, I you know, been working with youth for quite a while, and you know, teaching culture and language and different things like that in my professional life, you know, and teaching somebody to dance. Like I like to teach in how, not just, hey, you move your feet like this and you go to the beat. Like I always start with the beginning, right? Like even when, like if I'm teaching young boys, like I teach them the story about how the drum came to our people, you know, as Anishinaabe people, you know, how we got powwow, kind of like that, and start from there. But when I'm teaching people about dancing, or young ones about dancing, it's kind of that similar way. So I'll break down a song and the structure like on a whiteboard for them. Like this is what happens here, this is what happens here, and this is the next part, and this is the first verse, and here's the break, here's the second verse, you know, and then I break it down for them that way, so that, you know, I'll have it the first verse, first push up, second push up, third push up, fourth push up, and I have it represented on the whiteboard in some way, shape, or form. And so if we play back a song and they're just listening to it, it can be any song. We listen to it, I can pause it and then have them point to me on the whiteboard where we're at. Like, and so like, so that they're knowing how a song structure is, because like there's powwow dancers that are, you know, that have been dancing 20 years and don't know what a song structure is, you know what I mean? And so that's something I like to try to do, you know, try to break it down. And I mean, it wasn't always an exact science or nothing. It's kind of, you know, something I learned and tweaked a little bit along the way, but something I try to do when I'm teaching young people about dancing, because, you know, they can feel it, you know, feel the music and move how they want to. But, you know, if they don't understand what the song structure is, then they're not going to understand if they're on beat or not. They're not going to understand when to stop on time, all those different kind of nuances, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I do visual. I guess I do visualize it as well.
Yeah. I think we all kind of see it a little different, but that's kind of what I noted about a lot of singers too, is that I, you know, chatted with. They see a song in a certain way. Instead of hearing it,
right?
You like see it, and maybe it's like breaking it down into those little pieces. But I don't. Well, I couldn't tell you what it looked like, but I see it. Like that's how I see it. Yeah.
Hard to. Well, describe. a lot of my singers, when they're learning songs too, will you utilize their hands, right? So like, you know, you're singing a song along, and they're kind of catching it, and with their hands, they'll be like,
yeah.
Oh, that part goes up right there, and then it's a cuts, and then it comes back, and then it goes back up, and it drops, And so a lot of singers learn with their hands when they're learning songs too.
Yeah.
Like they'll follow along those different parts and those cuts, pauses, back and forth, where the song tune raises up or where it's higher, where it drops. Yeah. But yeah, I see it.
And that's pretty interesting. Well, hey man, we've been at it for about 2 hours.
Hey, didn't seem like it, but
I know. And we could keep going, man, because I mean, I didn't even.
He's gonna edit. He's gonna edit an hour out of this.
I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna let it roll, man. Because this is a good one. This is an important conversation. It's not like our usual podcast, It's for a very specific audience, I think. But I think people appreciate seeing the nuances, as they would say, of kind of our way of singing in this.
I've had like non-Indian people that listen to the podcast, because I asked them, I was like, do you get lost? And they're like, well, yeah, we get lost, but we'd rather listen to authentic than like spoon-fed,
Yeah.
Still entertaining. That's what I like. It's still entertaining regardless of whether you follow everything or not,
Yeah.
And we didn't even get to talking about like, trick songs or any of that kind of stuff either, because but yeah, I enjoyed chatting on here with you fellas and kind of reminiscing and everything, sharing some experiences of mine, like I said, it didn't really dawn on me until we were talking that, this July, we've come a long way as a group, and went through about three different cores, I guess you could say, but we've stayed consistent, and we've I owe everything that I am to my teachers and my brothers that sing with us, and always being supportive of the things that we want to do as a group, and that each one of us want to do individually, and kind of the vision of where we want to go. Hokie and I talked about it, because we've had our name, the Bois, for a while, and we always get, after about 5 or 6 years, started getting different ones, different older guys, and just whoever kind of poking fun. Oh, so when are you guys going to be the man? And like that kind of stuff. And we're like, we're just, it is our name, and that's we kind of stuck with it, and it actually came about. We didn't actually set up the first session of the Powwow we were at, because Hokie and Opie couldn't figure out what to call us. And then it just kind of came, and they're just like, "Hey, let's just do that, but with a Z," And so like, all right, so we might come up with something cooler later, and then that's kind of how we. Yeah. But it's just stuck, and we've been the Bois or TBZ ever since, But
still thinking on.
Yeah, right. So we've talked about it though. We're like, it's been 30 years. Hopefully, another 20 or so more. We're just gonna keep singing and keep hopefully making people dance until we can't no more, and we got sons and nephews and stuff now, and like our sons have talked about, when you guys are gone, we're gonna still, and it seems crazy to think about it, but like hopefully that does happen, they can continue singing and carrying the name on and whatever, kind of with the groundwork we've laid, is so. But I love everything about singing. My Anishinaabe knows when my Indian name is drum. In the Anishinaabe Ojibwe language, just is Dewegan, which is a drum. And so I was kind of born to sing. It was just it's always been a part of everything that I've done. Brought me a lot of places. And I've made a lot of good friends, and so I'm really fortunate enough to be a part of, our group, and, I'm glad our guys are supportive, and, we're just going to keep on trucking and keep on, going and taking it where it allows us, I guess. So, so I want to, give a shout out to all my singers, all of TBZ, our backup, all our family, everyone who looks after us on the power trail, all the relatives we made, kind of all those connections, and all our supporters, everyone who appreciates us, we appreciate everybody, and to be able to come and share a little bit on here with you guys, definitely would be welcome. Would be very, very welcome to come back. I think it'd be awesome to come back and share with you guys again. With whatever. So
for sure.
Yeah, let's do that, because there's a lot of additional questions, that sort of get to the heart of the importance of singing that we didn't even get to touch on. And I don't think we're trying to go there. We're just trying to look at some of the history of contemporary singing, and
right.
It's good to have someone who's been around for that long, in the contemporary style, to know, because we've talked with other folks who are been in the different styles of singing, and that's kind of Aaron and I's interest is songs and singing, and importantly how that feeds into what us Indian people know and understand about ourselves. And I work in this academic world where they want to focus on, it seems like, the wrong things, and it's the things that we really focus on, and that we enjoy and that we see change through time, that are really important, and that we folks like you has this deep knowledge of, and that's the important thing to me. So that's good, man. Thanks for taking the time. And just one question: what advice would you give to like the young impressionable singer out there? What would be that's like a 2-line advice that you'd give them to sort of, that would be like this wise thing that would help them on their way?
I would say learn as much as you can, even if it's something you don't think that you'd be interested in when it comes to singing, because the more you know about all aspects of singing, the better. So always learn. You're never too big. You're never too big of a name. You're never, it was just being humble. Know that you can always learn, right? Like just so always striving to learn and be better. Because whether you're on top already, you can still be better, because you're going to need to be better to stay up there if that's the case. Like you're going to always have to improve. So always learn, always be open to learning, wanting to improve, learn all you can about singing. And then second would be just, one thing that always stuck with us as a group, from our older uncles and older singers, that kind of shaped and molded us to where we are now, is know that there's always someone watching. Somebody is always out there looking to you or up to you, and regardless of what you do, whether it's after Powwow or at home or whatever, they're always going to associate you with your group. So be thinking and act like that. Don't do anything you would want to come back on you or your group or your family or anything like that. So, because I know there's craziness and stuff that happen out there at powwows, with after the powwow and all that and everything. So, but just always know that there's always somebody out there watching, someone looking up to you, whether it's younger singers or whatnot, and so just always just trying to operate that way, that you're a reflection of your group. You're a reflection of your teachers. So those two things I think will take you a long way. Just always trying to learn, always trying to be better, and then just know there's always someone watching, because you are a reflection of who taught you and your group.
Nice.
And I think that's brought us a long ways.
Man, that's some good advice.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Thanks for your
awesome.
time.
Oh yeah, appreciate you guys, and
awesome.
Looking forward to listening to much more of you guys. And again, I'm always down to come on and talk for another 2 hours. As you guys have learned, I've kind of got the gift of gab. You gotta stop me every now and then. So.
All right.